All right, we are live for a little RTD Sunday night live stream. And so wanted to connect and share some thoughts. And so I've had more than enough time to process the events that occurred today and had a chance to watch a lot of other alternative media gentlemen in this space share their thoughts. And so I thought I would end this night by sharing mine and more importantly, trying to really bring home what this all means. And I think the title to this video sums it up. And so I've been talking about this for so long now. I've even mentioned this for, several years now, that the Federal Reserve note will end up being your greatest liability. And I think more people might begin to see where this is all heading as a part of this monetary toolkit becomes, or it transitions into the weaponization of the Federal Reserve note. And so I have two perspectives tonight. And so one of them is I got the good side of all this, which could be good depending on where you stand. And then I have the bad side. So before as we dive into this, I'm going to share with you both sides. And if you've been following along this fiasco for some time now, then it should be no surprise to you. Hopefully you have, well before now, decided to go out and redeem some of those Federal Reserve notes and to get back into sound money. And so once again, I think some questions probably this week and definitely by the end of this month will come into play. And I would imagine if you're in the coin dealing business, the bullion dealer, or you're in that line of work, the question you're going to begin asking yourself is it worth me still selling or taking in these digital units or digital notes for actual sound money at a time where everybody and their mother will be rushing to your doors? And even the premiums that are on top of the spot price right now doesn't really do any justice for people to continue to sell gold and silver coins. And so we're going to touch on that. But welcome to this live stream. My name is Mike, the host of Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. And I thought out today I would present from the White House, just give you something a little bit different. Let me know what you guys think of the background. Thought it was very fitting, given the fact that our president has been very vocal over the last week about how disappointed he was in Jerome Powell and the FOMC. But today he's happy. And so with that happiness from our president comes a disaster for every saver, every retiree, and everybody that's practicing sound financial advice that existed pre greatest depression of all times that's occurring right now. So I'm going to get into that. I'm going to share my thoughts and go in a little bit deeper, but let me check in with the chat, because if not, if I don't, I can keep rambling without even checking in. We got low blood pressure. We got BC Matrix. We got Legendary Lou. We got Goldie. So the Dow dropped 1,000 points. Oh yeah, the Dow tomorrow. Whew. Yeah, I don't think there'll be enough liquidity provided to really instill confidence in this game now that the dollar has been officially weaponized. And so Chris says Silver Eagles and Silver Maple sold out everywhere. Are you surprised? That's the biggest thing. And so that leads right into my question. If you're in the bullion or coin selling business, apart from having a business, I'm not sure you want to get rid of probably one of the most valuable assets on the planet right now in the form of real money. Like, the days of accepting these counterfeit notes and these digital digits that's about to be unleashed on the world, I think people will begin questioning whether or not they would want to hold on to too many of those things. So Chris says get Bitcoin instead. Yeah, so pretty soon we're going to see a price spike in that as well. Anything outside of fiat currencies within this month will probably be of a lot more worth to a lot of people. We got Tony Blaylock, we got Spirit King, we got who else? Incurable Romanticist. So the president was happy with the low oil prices too. I don't think he gets it. Yeah, I think he does. I think, and I was listening and been following a couple people. Some people forwarded me some videos, and once again, people throwing out the QAnon, saying trust the process. And, if you overlay the health scare map with the time frame provided by QAnon, it lines up perfectly for all this martial law that's coming and all the indictments and things like that. I'm like, okay, if you want to hold off and be optimistic that behind the scenes there's some greater workings going on, fine. But let's talk about the stuff on the surface. Like on the surface now, it's impossible now to hide the complete chaos with the health scare that's underway, and then in the financial realm. And I'm watching some commentators. I actually might even have a video here where I was watching a gentleman share his thoughts on how the Federal Reserve now. So everybody knows now, it's nothing new, but I think it was one of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. He was mentioning that all the activities done by the Federal Reserve now, it's about saving the economies, helping small businesses, helping the average person when it comes to, not being impacted financially with this. And Bank of America CEO talk about if anybody's been impacted with this, they'll be willing to suspend mortgage payments and whatnot, and all that activity. And so here's the problem with that. Many problems, but the very first problem that came to mind when I saw that result was like, man, like a couple of weeks ago, everything was fine according to what we were told, but all of a sudden now this health scare becomes a real pandemic, and all of a sudden things are not fine. And so if they were not able to solve the last crises that we had 10 years ago with all this quantitative easing, and they were not able to normalize rates back to 4 or 5, 6%, whatever they used to be prior to this unprecedented monetary policy, with the introduction of what I think was it 85 billion a month during that last round of QE. And so now we have, looks like 700 billion plus the 1.5 monthly. And so literally by summertime, we're going to have a federal balance sheet of, 20, maybe 20 trillion. I think somebody threw out some numbers a while ago, 20 trillion. And then the question that everyone should be concerned with is, how do you unwind that? And the answer is simple. It's the same answer that goes with whether or not Uncle Sam will be able to pay back that 23 trillion, which I believe will probably touch well above 30 trillion, closer to 35 trillion within the next couple of months after all this fiscal stuff is rolled out. So how do you pay that back? You don't. You simply just run the printing press. You run the calculations on the computer screen until confidence is lost. And one of the biggest things that really has me concerned about all this is, if you're on the outside of this as a nation that's also about to do the same thing, when all this blows through, you're not going to go back to the old system. Therefore, the Federal Reserve note of the Federal Reserve system as a world reserve currency is done. Like as of today, the Federal Reserve system and that entity being the steward of the reserve currency that is our national currency, as of today, it's done. There's no going back. There's no unwinding. There's no undoing. It is what it is. We have already, as of today, officially transitioned into a whole new monetary world order that cannot stop. It can only go until this thing ends. And so that gets into what I was talking about when I started this off. So for those that might just be coming in, I have some good news and I have some bad news. And so I'll give you the good news. I'll give you the bad news first, and then I'll give you the good news. So the bad news is this. I was actually jotting some notes down. And so all along, the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell was talking about what's inside their monetary toolkit. And so everything that's being thrown at us now, with the basically dropping to zero and increasing all these financial weaponry. And so it's no longer tools, is what I'm getting at. This is no longer tools. Tools are used to fix. Tools are ideally used to fix things, to leave things better off than what they initially started as. That's what usually you think about tools. You get a hammer, you're trying to build something. You get some screwdriver, you're trying to tighten something up to make it more efficient. Now, with this current monetary policy as of today, those tools have turned into a weapon. And when I mean a weapon, I mean like the central bankers right now are utilizing monetary policy, i.e. stimulus and all types of rates, and basically they remove the reserve. They put basically no restrictions on to too big to fail banks right now. So what all this does to me, what all this says to me, is that they basically remove the clamps off the very same institutions that were the cause of the last crises, to where now there's no restrictions on the amount of reserves needed. So therefore, the too big to fail banks are now wide open to do whatever they want. And so they mentioned that they're not going to be buying back shares. They're going to stop that. But then what else are they going to be buying? And on top of that, because of this health scare, who actually is going to be out there borrowing? And who's going to go out there and taking out loans at this current time when we're about to have some martial law by the end of this week, I believe, with all this forced quarantine that will take place this week. So you got to ask yourself, where does all this go? It goes until it falls off a cliff. And unfortunately, before this summer, it will get a lot worse on the health side as well as the monetary side. So talk about the bad news first. The bad news is that now the Federal Reserve note, this instrument right here is now officially a weapon. And what I mean by a weapon, if this health scare to them is the reason why they're doing all this, then they're not trying to solve. You can't solve a health crisis by creating and providing liquidity for all these entities that are impacted by economy just basically coming to a halt. If nobody's buying, nobody's consuming, nobody's producing, you can't just pump liquidity into it and solve problems. You can only make bubbles grow greater and all those things. So they're attempting to use liquidity as a vaccine. And so this whole health scare, there's going to be 12 to 18 months before there's a vaccine or whatever. And that's just the health side. And so here we are, the Federal Reserve and other central banks are utilizing liquidity as a vaccine for an ailing economy, as if the vaccine will bring to life the economy in a sustainable way, as if it's going to revive growth and confidence in a system. At the same time, retirees are about to get robbed. If all the hedge funds and money managers were chasing yield during a time when bonds were not much, the 7% returns that all these funds are supposed to be getting now, and they're dropping rates now, it's going to make it a lot more riskier for hedge fund managers or whatnot to actually produce yield for all these accounts out here, and then nevertheless saving in these banks now that they have the handcuffs removed off of them. With zero rates now, we are literally, they don't even have to go down to negative for us to actually be in real nominal rate terms, because the zero is well below the 2% inflationary target that they say they're trying to meet. So basically right now, by keeping funds in a bank, you will not get zero on it, but yet you will lose on it flat out, whether it's in actual inflationary less of purchasing power, where when you go to get it out, you won't be able to buy as much. Or pretty soon, they might end up trying to go negative, but it may not work, because once again, I think there's going to be some major issues before we get to that point. So as of now, by them weaponizing the Federal Reserve note, they will have to continue this until they destroy themselves. They're going to implode because of their own actions. And so that's enough of me rant. Let me get to the chat. So as always, I apologize. I get a little bit too excited. And so I do want to give you some good news, though. So everybody is on here. And so, okay, on the financial side, on the monetary side of things, a weaponized national currency is very bad. We witness what happens when currencies are weaponized throughout history. All fiat currencies return to their intrinsic value of zero. So let's just get that out the way. Now it's just a matter of how, because majority of the liquidity they're going to provide is going to be digital. So they can basically run up ledgers and provide as much liquidity as they want, as far as debits and credits on balance sheets, on computer screens and accounts. But it's going to be the time when people go to the ATMs to get this. And once martial law comes about, you won't be you won't be able to go down to your ATM to actually get some cash. So therefore, that's going to be one reason why they may not necessarily need to monetize a lot of that liquidity, as far as putting it in paper form for the public, because if we're not allowed on the streets outright to go to ATMs, then there will be no real rush to get cash out the machines. And so that's one reason why we may not see hyperinflation in prior ways, where the paper itself was printed excessively. I don't think they're going to print the paper excessively, because with this health scare on top of it, all they're going to do is one of the statutes or mandates given to the president now in this national emergency, he can easily say that paper currencies could be considered a hazardous material in this biological, or health crisis, whatever. So CDC come out and say currency is a major carrier. There goes cash. So they can get away with this for a lot longer period of time than in prior years, because everything now is going to be more digital based. And so we are in the midst of the end of this current monetary paradigm. There's no returning back to norm. The new norm will be zero or eventually negative. And then the central banks being more than accommodative, and they're treating currency as if it's a vaccine for an underlying debt problem. And the majority of the public does not realize that the overwhelming problem that we're facing happens to be because of central bank monetary policy. So this is all in alignment with what they want to do. And this is how this current paradigm will come to an end, because this is the new norm. Zero interest rates is the new norm. Now, how does this play out down the line? It does not play out in a very beneficial way for everyone. If you are expecting some type of payout or claim on something that is denominated in this thing here, it will be reneged upon, because it will be inflated away eventually. Like, there's no way of reeling this in. And then that's just on the monetary side. Let's talk about some of the fiscal responsibility that the president will take upon himself in some of this package. I think it's the Family Act that they're trying to get signed. And so that's going to be a small blimp, but yet it will not be enough. Nothing that's thrown out from the Federal Reserve or anything taken upon the shoulders of Uncle Sam to try to help out will be enough to combat a globally systemic event such as what we're facing now. And then to take it even further, say by this summer, we get to the point where our former creditors, China, is up and running, producing again. Do you think China or any other nation will be willing to accept something that's been outright counterfeited without having some issues with that? So my point is, once this starts, we cannot go back to old, because our creditors will no longer give us a line of credit. So therefore, the Federal Reserve will have to then create even more, because they're going to be a direct financier for Uncle Sam, which will increase the balance sheet and all that crap. So this is one big loop of a mess that there's no way of this ending in a calm and pretty manner for anybody, if everything that you are expecting or dependent upon has to do with this instrument right here. But it's all a part of the design. This is what has already been in play. This is the way things had to. This is the way that things had to go or have to go to get to where all this, is going to end up, which is the introduction of something else, like this current debt cycle with the Federal Reserve of it being over 107 years now. 107 years of a Federal Reserve institution. They're going to drain the rest of economic productivity out of this economy. They're going to buy mortgage-backed securities. They're going to buy equities outright. The Federal Reserve will end up being the owners of majority of the true wealth in this country. Now, how does this administration address that? Do you give them another clean slate and let them issue us into that new paradigm? Or will along the way there be something rolled out from the Treasury? I don't know that, but I do know, and I can give you some good news. Here's some good news. And so beyond all the weaponization of the Federal Reserve note, with them being willing to provide as much liquidity as possible, as well as our Uncle Sam that will now become more open to borrowing, given the fact the Federal Reserve will probably subsidize them directly, because now Trump is beyond excited that he will have the cheapest borrowing cost of all times. And even though it's at zero, so basically Trump always all along wanted to be able to compete internationally with our competitors. And even during the press conferences that he was saying that, some of the other nations, they're at negative, but we're at zero. I'll take that. I'll take that. So basically the government now can borrow and not have to pay interest on anything. So, and I think that will not be good enough. And so after this week, after next week, President Trump will not be happy still, because he's going to need more. Because this 500 billion, 700 billion, 1.5 a month, or whatever the numbers are, the numbers the numbers are going to grow so large that we're going to lose track of how much they say they're going to be able to accommodate. But here's the thing is, while they're doing all these accommodations for the business sector, what about your average person that works and saves for these very same things that they're bringing into existence? you're going to you're witnessing the devaluation of your currency, because as the balance sheet rises and as the banks look to lend more and do whatever they have been given the leeway to do, all that's going to do is crowd out. It's going to create more competition for whatever you're sitting on yourself, if that's what you're dependent upon. Whether it's you're put it in somewhere for it to grow, or if you're sitting on a lot of it in cash form, you run the risk of losing out on the ability of those things to purchase down the line. Therefore, inflation will have to pick up pretty soon, because there's already going to be a scarceness of goods because of the rampant situation with the health scare. But then on top of that, inflation is baked into the cake. Within the next 45 days, we're going to start seeing an increase in prices, not only because of scarcity, but also because of just the fact that I think some of that has to spill out into the main economy, because when it comes to goods and services, I think that's where we're going to start feeling that more, amidst the fact that oil prices are low. And then because of this whole Saudi Arabia playing hardball with Russia, I could see Russia deciding to do something really silly and break the petrodollar chain link. And therefore, the U.S., worst case scenario, might want to go to war as well. So, but anyway, enough rant. So I want to get to the good news. So here's the good news. And somebody hinted at this in the chat about buying assets. One of the problems is about buying tangible assets now is because as we move forward, it's going to be harder to actually be able to redeem and spend some of these things out of sheer concern for your health. So like venturing out, eventually is going to become a problem. And then once we get to the point where the martial law is declared, you will be restricted to where you can go and how you can go. So it's one of them things where, and I always said this before, for those that are aware, for those that have been taking small preparation throughout the last couple months, years, wherever you're at now might be as much as you're able to get, because every bullion dealer, every coin shop right now is backed up, sold out, not available. And here's the thing: where's the fresh supply going to come from if we're in a state of emergency? Like, national emergency means that all the non-essentials to life shuts down. And right now, I'd imagine, President Trump and the Federal Reserve, they're not too pressed on you being able to get down to your local bullion store to get you some coins when they want you to stay in this dying system. And so the good news is that, and this is my personal opinion, the good news is that with all the liquidity that's coming, with all if the Federal Reserve system is about to become a weapon, that they're going to unleash so much liquidity to try to combat every single economic ill that they see, then that means at some point they will not ever be able to sell off those mortgage-backed securities, sell off those treasuries. They will not be able to sell off anything, because who's going to buy it? Nobody. So point is, they're going to I like that. Micah says buying some 223s and some 9mm will be better than gold and silver. Micah, great. That is, yeah. So if you can get your hand on some, a little bit more than normal, that is a great asset to have, because that is called protection. So I do agree. And also thank you for that chat, my friend. But in the long run, right now with silver prices at $14.68, with the premiums on top, you're still going to pay $18, $19, whatever, depending on where you're at, if you can find it. But then here's the thing. Once the martial law kicks in and literally the things shut down seriously, you won't be able to get to your local coin shops and bullion dealers, because they're going to be one of the businesses that will be forced to be closed, like in Italy right now. Watch some people blogging in Italy, between restaurants and all those places where people can go and gather will be shut down. And I would imagine that they won't be too concerned with you being able to go down and protect yourself for getting a hold of some sound money. So the good news to this, and in my personal opinion, we look up down the line after some of this stuff blows over, we get into a new paradigm, give it to take how all this health situation stuff irons itself out. I think those that are actually sitting, and this is my personal opinion, is that it won't take much. It won't take many of these little beauties right here. And so we have some people that, are stackers, to where they've been stacking for years. So they say that they're sitting heavy. That's fine. But for those out there that may not have had a chance to get to the party ahead of time, to accumulate in a way that you feel comfortable, I came up with a little formula, and I'll give you a snippet of what it was. And it's just my thought process that I'll share with you on how to ensure, on how you can consider yourself insuring these notes. So whether you are a person of extreme means or barely enough or none at all, there's still a way of insuring these notes. So you insure these with these. And how do you do that? Simply, this is my formula. Take it for what it's worth. So, say for example, if you're a person, your worth or whatever, you calculate everything you own or whatever is worth. How do you insure that? Because we've always been given the opportunity to insure everything, but we really can never insure our fiat currency. And that's, so that's an individual thing that you have to do yourself. There's no insurance company that provides insurance on your bank account. Even FDIC is not really insurance on the actual notes above that 250. But you can't insure that because if they hyperinflate the currency, 250 could be $2.50 at the end of the day. But point of case is a person of extreme means. And also, I use this calculation. I use this thought process rather when it comes to insuring your house. You know how whatever your house is worth, they always insure for way more than the house is usually worth. And so, I always wonder, like, I don't, if the house burnt down, I don't even need that amount. Like, why would you even tell me that's available to me when the house is not even worth that type of thing? And so it's like just looking ahead using that method. I don't know. I'm not in the insurance industry, so I don't know what that process is called. But say, for example, if you have a net worth of $1 million, and so this is a way of calculating how to insure that million. So let me see, $1 million. I'm not sure why I'm getting off on this. So I might stop. So what I'll do is I'm gonna stop right here because I gotta write some numbers down. I don't know why I started that, but there's a formula for a person that has 10, 20, 30, 40,000, just as well as there's $1 million. But it all has to do with insuring yourself with this. And so I had a little formula worked out, but I'm getting beyond myself. So because I don't want to give it out and not be what I had in mind when I first came up with it. But the point of saying was that the good news is that for those that were able to get a hold of something tangible and might still be able to actually redeem some of those notes for something tangible, especially things that you need now, it will be a good bargain. It says buy 1 metric ton of silver. Yeah, if you can get 1 metric ton, sure. I never complain about UBI. And so that's the good and the bad about it. The dollar now has become a weapon to fight a global pandemic in a time where it's only going to add to the problems we already has because it is the problem. And so I believe a lot of this health scare that's going on now it's very, I would say it's timely. It came about at the right time, which is right now, but yet it's not by coincidence. So I think all of this is going a part of the script to a bigger game plan that unfortunately we're going to find out after it unfolds because, depending on who you follow, everybody got their thesis and a hypothesis as to how this is all in alignment with the greater game plan. But along the way, a lot of people are going to, A, their health will be impacted, but B, financially, they're going to be wiped out. And so either way, it's going to be, it stands to be the risk of a loss because if you're not healthy enough to enjoy some of the opportunities that come in the financial realm, what good is all that? So yeah, we're in an interesting situation right now. And definitely, prayer is going to be key. But what I want to do before I get ready to dial back, because I wanted to really share my thoughts on how now all gloves are off. Federal Reserve note, as we've known it, as I've always said before, it will be your greatest financial liability. And why is that? Because now it is a weapon that will be issued at unlimited cost. There's no number too great to be thrown at this global pandemic. So with that being the case, yeah, it's going to be interesting how people play this out. But real quick, I will be interested in taking some calls. If anybody has some thoughts you want to share, any analysis, anything I'm wrong, feel free, let me know. It's all fine and good. This is a show for you. So I want to make sure I include you and get your guys' opinion on these matters. So I'm going to check in with the chat and then get ready to dial back. And then tomorrow morning will be an interesting day. So I'm going to be back at it again. Got a couple of good interviews coming up this week. So you guys will definitely want to stick around for that if you're new to the channel. So we do have a call. Let's see if we can get this one on air. Let me see if somebody there. Here we go. We got a call. Let's see what's going on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing, Mike? It's Kenny from
Kenny from Pensacola, Florida. How you doing, my friend? Give me some good news in your neck of the woods. Go ahead. What's on your mind? Oh, lost him. Give me a call back. I'll get you on here, my friend. What else we got in chat? So let me actually check in and let me see. I wanted to check out the give me a call back. We get you on here. I want to check out the what those futures is looking like. Here we go. All right. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind?
Well, I got a couple of things. One is that what they're not talking about so much is the locust plagues.
Yeah.
That's in Africa and in Palestine, or not Palestine, but Pakistan.
Yeah.
And toward China. We also got this the second plague. It's not like it's humongous, but it's not as big as the mice that's coming up from like in the California area. I mean, they have a really bad problem. Of course, we got the homeless thing that we haven't even began to scratch the surface on.
Yeah.
So it's just that there's so much stuff at once that is happening.
Yeah.
When this economic crisis, when they finally, I don't know if they're going to shut everything down Monday or whatnot, but when they finally shut everything down, this order out of chaos, it's like, how fast is all this going to happen?
Good point.
And how are we going to be able to spend if you have silver or gold? How are you able to do that?
Right.
It's just mind-boggling right now. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm just sitting here just like, my goodness, man, what are they going to do for us? Are they going to suspend the mortgage payments like they did in Italy? How are they going to actually help the public? Because they're going to have to do something for the public.
Yeah.
If not, you won't be able to contain the riots and violence that will happen in day 30 of the closing of everything. You're not going to be able to contain the public.
Right.
You'll be at a civil war against a bunch of gangs.
Yeah. And on top of that, on social unrest is more than likely baked into the cake at a time where, because of this national emergency, and I think by the end of this week, martial law will be declared, especially in New. I heard about the governor requesting it. Military troops in New York, he's requesting it. So I'd imagine, and all those hot spots as they grow, there will be boots on the ground, and then you're going to have social unrest, militarized forces on the ground, and a health scare that might be problematic. So that's three factors. On top of the fact people might be hungry and financially pissed at having lost everything. So those are a lot of factors that can collide in the streets and across this country, which is a real case scenario that could come about within 30 days, give or take.
Yeah, it's going to come quickly.
Yeah,
especially.
Well, hey,
look how they handled Hurricane Katrina, which they didn't handle that at all.
Yeah,
to be honest, they didn't handle it at all. The people left. Whoever could leave, they left.
Yeah.
How are they going to soon? Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying no. So what's your neck of the woods like right now? What's the vibe? What's the tone out in your neck of the woods?
People are still in la la land. There's really no recognition of what's exactly going on. I do have some nurses from people that's a little nervous at the job, but right now, I think since in my state, which is Wisconsin, I think we've been sheltered a lot from a lot of heavy, bad stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I think when the chips start falling, we're going to feel it. People in Chicago, people up probably in the Gary, Indiana area, they will start migrating north here.
Yeah.
But then, of course, our domino effect will start happening too because of the capacity of the immigration of maximum flow of people coming up toward our way. But right now, we've been sheltered and we're still good.
Well, hey, buckle down, stay prayed up, my friend. And of course, I'm sure there's still loved ones in your circle that could still use a little bit of encouragement anything you can do for them. So be that anchor, be that shining light in the midst of all that darkness, my friend.
Yeah, I'll try.
That's all you can do, and put the rest in the Lord's hand, my friend.
Hopefully it is.
I appreciate you. All right, be good. Yeah, man, that's real talk. We have another call here. I did have another call. Yeah, feel free to give me a call, man. I would love to hear your voice, see what's going on in your neck of the woods, because everybody right now has a story to tell. And so I want to definitely try to get a hold of that. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing the same thing. I might end up hopefully be able to do 1 or 2 streams throughout the day so we can get it going. But I'll take 1 or 2 more calls and then get ready to dial back. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How you doing, Mike? It's Kenny again from Pensacola, Florida.
Yes, sir. Kenny from Pensacola, Florida. Give me some good news, man.
Hey, so yeah, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Like, what a March. Like, the stock market's going crazy. I was actually trying to buy some more silver this weekend, and the premiums are through the roof. with premium and taxes, like when the silver was like 14 and some change, they were charging me like trying to charge me $19 per ounce.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't really find silver anywhere. Even on the website, they're pretty much saying there's gonna be a wait list.
Yeah.
So I'm happy I have a lot of silver as it is, but I'm thinking like I don't know what else I could invest in that be for a good value right now.
Yeah. So me personally, man, like somebody mentioned, like right now, because we don't know how long of a layover this might be as far as his health situation, us being forced to, stay in a little bit. And so I would say your daily necessities outside of, whatever you have now might be your best investment, because this could be a 30-day, 45-day, 60. I mean, who knows how long it can be. So getting to the essentials is ideal. And then it's where you mentioned you got enough weight. With the weight by now, if all the weight you got is not enough, then it's kind of, as you saying, it's kind of too late in a sense to get it. But yet, if you can get a hold of it, sure, it's still going to appreciate in value, especially as it has to go up a lot higher soon, because they're going to lose control of this, because there's no way they can keep the prices down without something breaking, because people are running to it, and this stuff is becoming scarce.
Yeah, and it's amazing that like with all that happening, the price is still low. And then also, I actually did went shopping. I'm in the military, so I went to the commissary on base, and I went to 2 other places, and like it's crazy how fast water, paper products. This is crazy how fast that stuff went away. Like, because you can't find bottled water anymore. It's just so crazy how that happened.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Yeah. So, hey, man, do the best you can. Keep me informed, man. Definitely call back in sometime this week and let me know what else. So, as always, for anybody watching, anything you guys want to report on or tell the community, make sure you guys stay connected and call in. So, Kenny, I appreciate you calling, my friend.
All right, Mike.
All right, be good. So, we have another call here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. How's it going, man? This is Dan from Vancouver, Washington.
Dan from Vancouver, Washington. How you doing? Give me some good news, Dan.
Oh, man, I don't have a lot of good news in my neck of the woods. I'm pretty close to, Kirkland's not super far from me, which is where most of the desks are in the country. So the store shelves in my area are pretty much completely empty, aside from like soda, but like all the fresh fruit, vegetables, meat, like rice and beans, any canned food, water, toiletries, all that stuff is totally gone.
Yeah.
And and some other stuff too I wanted to add is that I buy my precious metals at a bullion dealer in Portland, Oregon, because there's no taxes. And I went there on Saturday, and there's 4 dealers in Portland, Oregon, and they were completely out of everything. And on last Friday, they sold 16,000 ounces more than they had in the store, back ordered for 2 weeks. And I literally bought the last gold coin in Portland, Oregon on Saturday, because that's all they had left. All they have is bars.
Really?
Gold bars.
Ooh-wee.
And there's people are running to it. It's pretty intense, and people are running to the food too.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So like everything that's of use now and long term is obviously becoming scarce. So that's one of the things where hopefully this thing doesn't take, and hopefully it's not like a prolonged, like I hear people talking about it's going to be a year. I'm like, wow, like, I don't know if people can withstand a year of being quarantined in their own house before they by default get out in the streets and cause problems. So yeah, man. Stay prayed up, man, and keep us informed of what's going on. I appreciate you sharing what's going on in your neck of the woods, man. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Have a great night.
Yep, you too. Be good.
Bye.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. That's real talk from people across the country that are witnessing and experiencing this adjustment to our paradigm. So basically, we're part of a new paradigm shift that's underway, and a lot of it has to do with trying to find some good. That's why I started off by saying, give me some good news, because outside of the obvious, there is still some good news. And so just the fact that you appear to be taking those steps, or have taken those steps to better prepare yourself and your family, that's definitely some good news, because there's a lot of people out here who, as the first caller mentioned, is still asleep or in la-la land. So, but we'll take the last call here and then pick up again tomorrow. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, brother? It's Church Ad Van from the chat, calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, New York. Oh man, give me some good news in Brooklyn, man.
Brother, I wish I could, but I don't know what people are hearing who aren't here, but it's really not that good. You go in the stores, sincerely, the shelves are empty. I mean, people are really in panic, man. Like, you can hear people on the cell phones. You can see some people weeping, because they can't find diapers for their kids. And, the line, my aunt was in Staten Island.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Costco. She said the line was literally outside of the parking lot, and people were fighting just to see if there's any carts available, just to wait online. I mean, they're putting cops around now, but, people don't understand. Cops are human beings too.
Yeah.
When the what hits the fan, they're just like me and you, except they got a gun and a vest ready.
Yeah.
You understand? So, I mean, I sincerely think, and it's so weird, because New York City, I mean, we're the Empire State,
Mm-hmm.
the Empire. From all 50, we're the Empire.
Yeah.
So for this to be happening here, I mean, it's just scary, man. Like, I'm considered upper middle class, but, I actually went to see a couple of my dear friends that, I mean, the other communities, guys that really can't afford it, they're in a scarce zone right now. People are really on edge.
Yeah.
And you got to understand that, hey, yeah, you got big money people in the city, but you got people that are barely getting by, and, the lower income, they're scared to death, man.
Yeah.
And I don't understand if there's an emergency fund, and, they should have started already, because I sincerely think Brooklyn, New York is one little split second away. It could be pandemonium. I mean, there's people that are already oppressed as is and angry as is, and this is just, it's sincerely not good, man.
Yeah.
I see it coming, and I smell it coming. I can feel the tension when I was around other friends in other areas, and I just really hope, whatever it is the powers that be are gonna do, just freaking do it already. They got the power. There's no reason to kill people. They already got us by the balls.
Mm-hmm.
If it's gonna be crypto and they want to know where every penny is, hey, do it already. Don't starve people and do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
They already got the power.
Yeah.
Just finish up.
And
But
here's one of the
I
problems.
just really wanted to call in and say I love your show. I sincerely appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
I sincerely appreciate everything you're all about.
I appreciate you. Man.
I really do.
Well, I appreciate you for calling and sharing your story, and keep us posted, man. And definitely, this is, like
hey,
I always
listen,
say,
hopefully
man.
over there in Michigan, it's much better, man. Because I know Michigan's a rough and tough city too. So God willing, everything's good over there, brother.
Yeah, and so in Detroit, it's more people are becoming
I'm
aware.
Albanian by nationality. I'm Albanian, so we got plenty of guys there.
Yeah.
I know how it is over there.
Yeah. Well, hey, man.
But, may God be with you and everyone else in this chat, and may God look after us all.
For sure, I agree, my friend. Thank you for calling and sharing your thoughts. Keep us posted throughout the week, my friend, as always. Thank you.
You got it, my brother.
All right, be good.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Oh man, that's real talk. Man, that's real talk. That's real talk. So yeah, everybody has a story to tell, man, and we will definitely this week, especially, dive into it more. And so I want to dial back right now, so I won't be taking any more calls. But I just want to check in. And so this week especially, I want to make sure I provide an opportunity for everybody to share what's happening in their neck of the woods, good and bad. And amongst all the obvious, there's obviously bad all around you. But, find that one thing that's good, man. Find out one thing that's good. And so for me today, personally, just getting an exciting word from my pastor, like really it just gave me a jolt of inspiration to where that was my good for the day. And so outside of that, be blessed, be safe, everybody. Just stay prayed up, man. And if you see somebody that need help, be willing to be that light that shines to help people out, man, because that's what we need right now. So that's all she wrote. Be blessed, be safe. If you guys enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and come back tomorrow. We'll do it again tomorrow and hopefully get some more insight from other people around the country. Other than that, that's all she wrote for this evening. Be blessed.